Hi, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Peace and salutations to the Akim and to the elect that were scattered, throughout the four corners of this earth, pushing this truth and faith and sincerity. All right, now this is just gonna be a quick lesson on Moses, right? Because in this world, all over, people believe that Moses was a so-called white man. All right, that Moses looked like an Edomite, basically. All right, which are the Edomites are the Caucasians. All right, that are mentioned in the scriptures. All right, the devil. Right. Now, because if you get on Google and you go to Google Images, right, and you look up Moses, he's gonna look like a so-called white man. Right, but the scriptures say otherwise, man. The scriptures describe him differently, right, than what the world see him as, right? Because the scriptures left little clues for us to figure out, right? And basically, the Lord got to be dealing with you, right? It's really simple, right? All you got to do is just put two and two together to know that Moses was no damn white man, right? You got to come out the scriptures, though. This is Isaiah 8:20 real quick. To the law, to the testimony, they speak not according to this word, is because there's no light in them, right? So you can't go off what you feel on the inside, on how you want, the characters of the Bible to look like, right? Or just say, like, people, because people, they really don't want to deal with color, right? Because, they're proud, right? They like, if you ask them what color the Messiah is, they will say, oh, he ain't no color. He all colored or some bugged out shit like that, right? But, let's just get into it. I don't want to talk too much, right? This is Exodus 4:1. Right, now this is dealing with Moses. Moses was supposed to go speak, all right, unto the children of Israel, to tell them that the Most High had appeared unto him and that he's going to come get them out of captivity. And Moses was like that, that basically they not going to believe, right, that you sent me, or that you came unto me, appeared unto me, right? So the Most High gave Moses some miracles to perform in front of them so they can believe, right? So I get into it. This is Exodus 4:1. And Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, Yahweh had not appeared unto thee. And Yahweh said unto him, what is that in thine hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent, or a snake. And Moses fled from before it. And Yahweh said unto Moses, put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. Right? It said that they may believe that Yahweh, power of their fathers, the power of Abraham, the power of Isaac, and the power of Jacob, had appeared unto thee. Right? So that was one sign, one miracle, right? Just to make them believe. But here's the second one. And Yahweh said furthermore unto him, put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. When he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. All right? So basically gave him leprosy. Right? His hands turned white, basically. And it says, and he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. All right, so he took his hand out of his bosom and it turned white. And he put it back in and he said he turned back to his other flesh. Now, if he was already a so-called white man, how could he turn white again? How could he go from white to white? And this is supposed to be a miracle, right? So if he was already white, how could this happen? All right, what's going on? It don't make sense, right? So Moses had to be a man of color, right? Because if you go to Exodus, the 2nd chapter, 2, and I started 16. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock. So they called Moses an Egyptian, right? Moses passed for an Egyptian. And we all know that the ancient Egyptians were dark-skinned people. All right, so the only way that Moses could be mistaken or pass for an Egyptian was only if he was dark-skinned, right? Because if you go up, like, if you read Exodus, the 1st chapter, Pharaoh, all right, the king of Egypt, he put out a decree to slay all the firstborn, right? And later on down in the chapter, you know, he told them, like, when you see a male being born, throw him in the river, all right? But you keep the daughters alive, right? So his mother, she hit him, and he was found by Pharaoh's daughter, right? And this is what happens. Exodus 2, and I'll start at 5. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children, right? Showing you that is a different race, right? They're not the same people. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, because I drew him out of the water. Right? So Moses was raised by the Egyptians, right? Pharaoh's daughter. Now, Moses was of a white man's complexion, right? Pharaoh would have noticed that, would have been like, who the hell is this nigga, right? He would have knew, like, man, look, I thought I said, you know, to put the Hebrew men child, all right, the men children, to death. Moses would have easily got caught, right? That wouldn't have this wouldn't have been possible for Moses to be raised by the Egyptians if he was a so-called white man, right? So the images that they have of Moses today is a lie, right? Moses, because the true Israelites are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? Now, if Moses was to appear today, he would look like a so-called Negro, right? For Moses does not go back unto the so-called white people or any other race. Moses is my ancestor, right? We are the true people of the Bible. This Bible is our history, you know? So that's really was it. You know, that's the lesson is all I wanted to speak on. You know, with that, I'm going to say shalom.